but my whole thing is you have to be educated. I ate meat for the best part of 55 years, and who am I to say what you can and can't eat? All I can talk about is why I don't.
Yeah.
But I'm not evangelical. I don't lay my eating habits on anybody else. It was just a whole journey that was started off by mercy.
Wow.
And it's about a different way of looking at things. And I remember Rod, the cameraman, Rod Compton, saying, when I first had you around here, and I cooked you a vegan stew, chickpeas and curry,
which was delicious. It was great.
And he said, I was a meat eater for many, many years, and I saw the light, and it is a bit like that, And when you start on a plant-based diet, of course, your energy goes, and then you just go, whoom.
What, mentally or physically?
Yeah, I felt physically. Nutritionally better for you, I mean,
so what was the slumpy bit? What happened?
I was just feeling rough and feeling sluggish as I kind of got the meat out of my system, the dependence on meat. And my personal thoughts are that meat is, you start to taste vegetables, you start to taste things again. And I think meat is such a strong thing that if you have meat on a dish, it overpowers everything else on the dish. And B, I think that the process of eating meat in itself is addictive. If you eat meat, you want to eat more meat because of what it is,
And also all the antibiotics and
antibiotics, all the hormones,
the addictive stuff in it
that
the animals are given, right?
I mean, I saw something online about how the Americans farm their cattle on those huge ranches, and they pump their animals full of growth hormones so they get more produce for their buck, and it's foul. And even though they say it's something like 95% of that hormone has gone out of the carcass's body by the time it's slaughtered, there's still 5% of that hormone in the American meat. That's the stuff that we'll probably, be having in this country after Brexit to bang a political drum. You want to put hormones? I mean, we don't know what's in it. There's a whole thing of bulking up chicken, the weight of chicken with salty water, brining the chicken. It's not nice. It's really not nice.
And also the animals in wet farms are cross species, like from all over the place, all crammed together, dead and living, which is what they think this virus has sprung to the handlers, and the animals are really stressed. And likewise, the animals in the factory farms are really stressed from different herds. I watched this film yesterday, and it's Pandemic Explained in 4 minutes. It's really good. You can just Google it. I've shared it, I think. And they were saying that because of antibiotic resistance, because we're talking about animals having all this antibiotic, if we're not careful, the next flare up of a pandemic is going to be, we won't be able to survive. It's going to be, it's bad enough now, right?
We have to be careful because nobody really knows the origin of of COVID-19 or SARS-CoV-2 or whatever they want to call it. You know what I mean? But they think it wasn't from eating animals. It was from being infected by the feces in one of those wet markets.
Well, yeah, I saw 50 Minutes, an Australian program, and they had professors and guys that went undercover, and the scientists said, well, that's this program. There might be others that say different things, but came from onto the handlers rather than someone eating a bat.
Because people have eaten bats for centuries, apparently. It's a cultural thing. It's not anything.
Still not great, but yeah.
Would you eat a bat?
No. But we're conditioned to think a pig is okay to eat, but then not a dog, so maybe in there, like a bat would be no different than a chicken or something. I don't know.
All the modern thinking is to cope with climate change, to cope with the ecological disaster that's happening on this planet, is to just give up eating animals.
Give up eating animals and give up killing everything. Don't kill people, don't kill animals. It's so simple. Yeah. Why don't we just do that?
Well, because of political, economic pressure. That's why, what will happen to our meat industry? Short term, yeah, that will be disastrous, but long term, it won't be.
Yeah. Carol sent me a link. Carol Royal sent me a link about a wet farm that was trying to be encouraged to get fruit, sell fruit and stuff. Like farms and stuff could be turned into
plants.
No spoilers.
No, that was yes.
That's all right. No, we won't. It's fine.
Are we in the minority that think this way? I think there's more and more people are thinking this way now.
I agree.
And what was it in January this year before the virus hit? Britain led the way in veganism that month because of Veganuary.
Viva, who've kindly given us a lot of footage as Compassion in World Farming, as Animal Aid, as Animal Equality. Juliet Gallatley, the founder and director of Viva, is doing a campaign about 3 in every 4 diseases come from animals. 3 in 4.
It's a really strange one because historically they think the fact that humans ate meat developed their brains quicker. They ate cooked meat, especially because that's more nutritious. It developed their brain. So it's, it's interesting.
It is.
And maybe it's the time to give it up.
Yeah. I mean, what we did in the past, we don't necessarily have to do now just because we did it then.
Sure, of course not.
Right?
I mean, we are developed. Our brains are developed. That's it. That's the evolutionary kind of leap that we made. But even so, I mean, that's a funny one because evolution-wise, it's not even the size of our brains. It's about the way that we think makes us different. So there's something happened that twisted the way that we think from anything else on this planet that made us human beings. It's kind of touched on in *Sapiens*, that wonderful book *Sapiens*.
Do you think if people were vegan, there would be less war, less anger, less? Do you think it would make people less aggressive? Do you think, or not? Is it nothing to do with?
Don't forget the Roman army was mostly vegan.
That means that they can be strong.
Well, that's a proven point. Is that vegans can outlast carnivores athletically, which is great. No, I think. I mean, I don't know. I mean, what you don't get, and I can attest, I can sort of testify to this. You don't get the mood swings.
Really?
I don't get the mood swings that I had when I was eating meat.
You had mood swings before, and now you don't.
No, well.
Oh, well. Don't say that, Wendy.
I'm serene all the time.
Okay, so you had mood swings like a lot.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I think your diet can affect them. Of course it can. Of course it can. You got to think about what you're putting in yourself. Yeah, I mean, maybe there is a case that meat makes you more aggressive. Personally, I know that if I am on a plant-based diet, then I don't get the mood swings that I used to.
I wonder if that is to do with because the animals are fed drugs. I wonder if we're eating the drugs, and not only the drugs, that because the animals go to slaughterhouses, it's really stressful to be killed for anything, and they know it's going to happen, and they're scared. So all this secretion of fear, we're eating fear and antibiotic and...
For several years, and I'm going back 15, 20 years now, I used to go down to my friend who had a turkey farm in Surrey, and it became a yearly thing. We'd go down at Christmas time, the week before Christmas, and pick up the turkey. And he said, I try and kill these turkeys very quickly. He said, otherwise I can feel the trauma in the meat, is what he said. And this was a turkey farmer.
Huh.
There's a tribe of North Thailand indigenous people called the Aka people, whose main diet is dog. And what they do is they and this was years ago in the 80s, I went to Thailand, and I never tried dog, thank God. They try and kill the dog, they creep up behind and hit it over the head with a club so that the meat isn't traumatized. If it yelps, then they'll discard that that particular animal, which is probably to do with the same thing as the meat doesn't taste as good if it has adrenaline or whatever chemicals it has go through, which is just, you know, just a defense mechanism, isn't it? So that's interesting, but morally, that's very hard. It's that if a sentient animal tastes different because it was killed in fear, that's not a very nice thing, is it? You know, for a human being who is relatively intelligent to kind of think, well, there's got to be something really bad about this.
And like, we're not encouraged. Well, I wasn't encouraged to think that way. I mean, I didn't even.
Well, we didn't.
Wasn't
Children,
aware really.
you know, I mean, children of the 70s, and it was all a bit different then. It was fairly organic. The food that was delivered to my house, well, wasn't delivered. My mum got for it. It was all local stuff, and yeah, but conditioning, just giving up the meat habit. I never thought you could survive on vegetables. It's true. As a slaughterman, you know, I never thought.
And did you do a lot of research to find out that you could?
Well, it was a practical experiment because I kind of started eating vegetables for a month. I thought I'd do it for a month, and then I just quite like this. I like the way it makes me feel. I like this energy I have, you know. Why?
Can you describe the energy that you had?
Well, it's just to waking up. I used to fall asleep a lot in the afternoons. Like old granddad in the corner. And that stopped.
I wonder, is that, I mean, I'm no biologist, so I really wouldn't know. But I've heard that, you know, our colons are really long so that we can digest all the vegetables, and then animals with the meat is short. Get it out quick. So maybe it's to do with trying to digest meat for hours.
Well, we know that digesting meat takes a lot of energy. You know, you don't go swimming for an hour after you've eaten, for example, because you don't have the energy to swim. Digesting meat probably takes more energy than digesting vegetables, you know, because it is what it is.
They say you are what you eat, don't they?
I'm a muesli at the moment. Slightly nutty and a few flakes.
I'm a fruit salad.
Oh. Fruit, nuts and flakes. Yeah. That's what I had this morning. Your fruit salad. Yeah. Well, I've known that for years, darling.
See? It's true. Oh.
A bit nutty and a bit flaky, that's good. Oh dear.
Oh, what would you do to make everything all right, Mark?
Me?
Yeah. How would you make it all better?
Oh man. Oh, where do you start? You know, end of war, linked with the end of religion, and I think, seriously, just don't eat meat.